I've heard people make this comment when they say sow your seeds on a fertile ground, and by fertile ground they mean sow your seed in a big church, sow your seed in the life of a wealthy man, sow your seed where it is productive, and their definition of a productive ground is somebody who has a seeming result, somebody who is doing fine, a church who has a large seating capacity, right? Because you are trying to covet what they have. And then it actually doesn't go down well with me, because this totally writes off the local church, right? It makes it seem like the local church is not a fertile ground. It makes it seem like the local church is not fertile enough for you to sow your seed, right? But actually, I think the local church is a more fertile place to sow your seed. You know, I've been to local churches. I attend a local church. I've seen how local churches actually struggle. You know, how holding a program is difficult. Why? Because there are no sponsors. Nobody is interested in sponsoring a program that is not global, you know. Nobody is interested in sponsoring a pastor that is not international, right? So they believe that he's probably not resultful, he's probably not productive, and then because of that, he needs to labor. Also, I don't know. But then the reason for this video is because I find it quite sad that the local churches are not getting the support they are supposed to get. I mean, let's say you attend a global church, an international church, for example, where their seating capacity is 5,000, 2,000, 1,000. In that kind of church, you are in the choir, and you know that before you mount the pulpit, before you get the opportunity to lead worship, you probably need to be in that church for like 5 years, and you need to prove yourself. And then there's a local church that is looking for a talent that you have. There's a local church somewhere that is looking for singers, people who would lead worship in the church, and then they can't find, because everybody is running to the big church, you know. Nobody wants to attend a church that's where two or three are gathered. Everybody wants the big church. Everybody wants where it is happening. I find it quite stressful on local church pastors and local church workers, because imagine you giving 100,000 to a church that has millions in their church account. Don't you think that your 100,000 will matter more in a church that has barely 50,000 naira in their account? Right? I respect global churches, I respect international ministers, but I feel like Christians are neglecting local church pastors, and that is why big churches are becoming bigger and small churches are becoming smaller until they eventually fold up, because big people are actually supposed to support small churches. Your 2 million naira can do a lot for a local pastor, for a local church. Your 150,000 can do a lot. If you put that money into a global or an international church, it will seem like you put in a teaspoon of water in an ocean. Not that you will not be blessed, but I feel a fertile ground is where something is needed. A fertile ground is where something is useful, right? I'm not saying that you shouldn't sow seeds to global churches, international churches, and I am saying that local churches are fertile grounds too. Local churches should be paid attention to. If you are God has blessed you financially, God has blessed you with a gift, something that can aid the advancement of God's kingdom, I think the best place for you to offer your service is in that place you call a local church, that place where there are just 20, 15. I think that's the best place to offer your service. If God has blessed you financially, look for a local church and sow into it. Look for a local church and do something for them. I know you like global churches, But then when you see a local church that is actually doing kingdom business, I think Christians should pay attention to those local churches because local pastors are going through a lot. It's like they are not doing this ministry thing. I mean, it's like they are totally left out. It's like people see them like these ones don't know what they are doing. And it's quite disheartening that they are looked down on. So, this is a call to Christians from around the world to support local churches financially, with your presence, with your gifts. If you are in a global church where you are not doing anything, your own is just to go to church on Sunday, and then you have a talent in singing, why don't you look for a church where you would be useful? And then I feel like sometimes people are just looking for the glamour and all of that, because I believe that God still lays in the heart of people. God can still tell you there's a church in this village that I want you to function in. I believe that God still speaks to people in that way, but because we crave for all the glamour and all of those things, so we don't listen. If God tells me to go to a church that has 5,000 seating capacity, I would excitedly want to go. But when God tells me to go to a local church where there are just 5, 6, 10, 20, I'll feel like, why? Why do I have to be here? You know. So I feel Christians don't take local churches serious. Small churches. We feel they don't know what they are doing. So this is a call actually to Christians all over the world, all over Nigeria. Please support local churches. If you are blessed financially, please support local churches. If you have gifts, talents, please support local churches. These people are struggling to do kingdom business. And when you do it with struggle, it becomes frustrating. That's why I see a lot of local pastors. They look like they are begging. They look like they are suffering. It's because they are actually suffering, because they are carrying all of those things on their head. A global or an international pastor has people around him. He doesn't need to carry it on his head alone. One program like this, 200 people, 1,000 people would want to support. But you see a local pastor, one program, and he's the one doing everything. He's the one looking for funds. He's the one. This is not just guessing. This is from experience. And I'm not saying this because probably I'm a local church member. Maybe I want you to come and help my church. No, far from it. I'm saying it because I actually feel the pain of many local church pastors and local church workers. And it's not funny, when you are actually doing God's work and everybody seems to neglect you. Everybody seems not to be interested in what you're doing. They see them as beggars, as people who are doing ministry for one gain or the other. So, in all, I feel local churches are neglected. And I feel it is something that can be corrected. So this is a call to Christians. Please look for a local church and support. You are a millionaire or whatever you are. You can take up the building of a local church from the ground, from the beginning till the end. So I feel Christians should pay more attention to local churches.